Chairman, start the meeting at your convenience.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, is there?
Okay, wait, just one moment. I'm sorry, it's not yet live. It is
Oh.
recording, but it's not yet live.
Welcome call to order. Call the meeting to order.
Got it.
And then I'll do the roll call.
Okay.
That was a dry run.
All right.
So we were recording.
Agenda?
John, give you a cheat on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't see
Okay, wait,
that.
just one moment. I'm sorry, it's not yet live. All right, it is live.
Once it's live, let's call the meeting to order.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order then. Looks like we're live. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I've been asked to remind us that we are being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. So we'll follow those procedures. John, would you mind? Oh, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Do the roll call first. Do the agenda next.
Okay, would you take care of the roll?
I will do the roll for
Thank
you.
you.
John Foley, absent. Doug Brenizer,
Here.
Kat Pence, absent. Lieutenant Colonel Edgecombe,
Present.
Christopher Burkholder,
Present.
Mike Morrow,
Present.
Arnaud Verstoy.
Present.
Did I pronounce that correctly? I try and get it right.
Close.
Close.
No worries.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great. Okay. Let's back up to that agenda item then.
Item 2.
Let's do that. Everybody's seen it. Are there any additions needed? Okay, if not, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So
Maybe a second.
a second.
Okay. All right. Also, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the September 20th meeting?
You have to go back and. Oh. You have to do a motion, you have to do a vote on the approval. You guys have a motion, a second.
Got it.
Just do a vote next.
Okay.
Let's go, but hang on, some reason the recording stops.
Okay.
Let's see. You and the host said. So we go. Yeah, let's do it, Ian Keith. You picked a heck of a night, Doug, to.
I'm really, yeah. I've never had to do one of these. It's kind of a challenge.
Yeah,
I guess I wasn't.
John makes it look easy.
Mhm.
John's been chair before, hasn't he?
Always. Well, no,
It's coming up on the end of his 6th year.
Yes, it's routine then.
He's got it down, that's for sure.
You've been training.
I did okay, just.
Apparently I wasn't paying attention.
Just said stop recording.
Okay.
And you guys dropped off, it looked like.
Yeah, load something real quick.
So,
We may have to start again, Doug. Good item 3, and then we'll start again.
but if it's live on YouTube.
It's still strictly live on
Okay.
YouTube, it's just the recording we logged out stopped
Okay.
it, so.
Okay, so we're good
It's
to
on the
go?
computer.
All right.
Good to go. So
Great, so we're still on item 2.
Item 2, we need to vote to approve the agenda. Doug Bryant says yes. Kat Pence is not here. Colonel Edgecombe,
Yes.
Christopher Burkholder,
Yes.
Mike Morrow,
Yes,
Arnott, I'm going to screw up your last name. Say it for me.
Verstev.
Thank you. First time.
Yes.
And Mr. Foley is not here. Okay, on to the minutes from the September 20th meeting.
January 24th. That was it.
I'm working on this, sorry. Let's go back to January 24th and the minutes thereof. Are there any corrections needed for the January meeting minutes? If there are none, maybe we can have a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
A motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
And roll call vote, Doug Brenizer approved. Kat Pence, not here. Colonel Edgecombe,
Yes.
Christopher Burkholder,
Yes.
Mike Morrow,
Yes.
Arnaud Verstoff,
Yes.
and Mr. Foley is not here. Okay. I don't think we have any public comment. Did we have anybody apply to?
We did not receive any public comment.
Okay, good enough. And then we're on to reports, if I'm following the agenda correctly.
Moving right along, and Mr. Chairman, I'll do the tower chief's report. Rob was not able to join us this evening, but he sent a few notes, so I'll go ahead and just read those on his behalf.
Okay.
Let's see, for 2024, January and February aircraft operations, 5,404 for the first 2 months. Aircraft mandatory occurrence reports for January and February. He wanted to remind everyone that Alert 1 indicates an aircraft is having minor difficulties, and Alert 2 indicates that an aircraft is having major difficulties and typically has declared an emergency. And then on Alert 3 indicates an aircraft has crashed on or off the airport, or there's a high probability of a crash. On January 20th of 2024, they had a Stinson cleared to land runway 34. The pilot intentionally veered left of the runway to land in the grass island, which is not authorized. January 24th, 2024, they had a Centurion 210 with retractable gear. Pilot reported hydraulic failure. Pilot was able to manually crank down the landing gear. Tower verified gear appeared in the down position. Aircraft landed without incident. That was an Alert 2, and Foam 6 from the ARF station responded to the incident. On February 24th, 2024, a Cirrus SR-22 was cleared to land runway 31, instructed to expedite through the runway intersection and turn left at taxiway Alpha 2. An arriving Piper PA-28 was cleared to land runway 34. The Cirrus instead turned left down runway 34. Piper pilot had to cross runway 34 threshold, initiated a go-around. Tower instructed Piper pilot to go around. I'm not sure if I got that right. Anyway, there was a go around because somebody turned down the runway instead of the taxiway. And then on February 28th, Citation 550 business jet departed runway 31 and reported a bird strike on the nose cone. Pilot returned and landed without incident. Pilot reported no damage to personnel or aircraft. I believe we collected those remains and sent those off. And Rob wanted to report that the current tower is scheduled for a new fire suppression system in June of this year and a new HVAC system this summer. The current tower is almost 51 years old. It was commissioned in August of 1973. So the FAA is having to put money into a tower that is probably not going to last another 5 or so years, but it's that old. So that was all that Rob had for a tower report. I'm happy to take any notes back to him or questions if anybody has anything. Hi, Council. How are you? Absolutely.
Hello, sorry for my timings.
Doug Arnold had a question or has a question.
Carry on.
Will the tower be closed for those upgrades?
I'll ask that question. I don't suppose that it will be. I think they'll probably work around it, but I will find out for you. I have not heard that it will be. So.
You have another question?
What's the estimated date of the new tower?
We haven't been provided a date of construction yet. They're still working on the siting. So we finished the siting process and then we actually earlier this week on Monday, we had to do another siting update because the tower is going to be seismically upgraded. So it's going to be a larger, more robust tower than they originally anticipated, given our penchant for earthquakes in the Northwest. So so the new report is now not due until December of this year, but all of these first 32 towers are supposed to be built and the money spent by the year 2030. So sometime in the next 6 years is the closest they can narrow it down for us right now. I don't know where we are in the process. Yeah, so that part I know.
I think you also have the next item.
I do. I just want to go ahead and take this note for Rob's benefit. Okay. And all right, so that's Tower Chief's report. And then I did submit a written report. As you can see, there's quite a bit happening now. I got to about 2.5 or 3 pages of updates here at the airport. so that you don't have to listen to me talk for a half an hour. I went ahead and submitted a written report for everybody's review. Happy to take any questions, anything I missed. Arno. Sorry, Joey, I'm running.
No, please do.
One of the things you mentioned are new hangars being
Yes.
developed. Are these designated for specific types of planes or can anything go in there?
Not specific types of planes, but for sizes of planes. So we have about, I would say, depending on how many leases we execute in the next few weeks, we'll probably have a half a dozen or 8 business jet size hangars. So the size of the ones that are on the south end of the airport. And then we have at least 2 smaller box hangars that are more like 50 by 50. So for smaller, single engine planes for the most part. So there's a combination of both. I don't know the types of aircraft that are going to be in those yet. I think I have a couple of ideas, but yeah, it's a mix. But actually more on the business jet side than the smaller aircraft side, which is unusual for here. So yeah, a lot of that's going to be happening in 2024. Anything else, Chris?
What's the demand like for business jet hangars?
It hasn't been, it's an interesting question. So I've been here for nearly 13 years, and in the first 10, we've built 3. And in the last 3 years, in the last 3 years up until now, probably over the next year, we're going to build about another 8 or 10. So the recent demand is quite a bit. Previously, there wasn't as much, and I don't know what that shift is. I don't know if it's people moving into the state from out of state. In many cases, they're businesses that are located here in Salem. So I don't know if they just suddenly moved to business jets for business flying purposes or what the demand is, but it's been much more robust in the last 2 to 3 years than it has been the last, say, decade or so.
So you're building based on lease requests?
Yep. Specific requests for specific size hangars.
Thanks.
Yep. Counselor.
I'm just curious for the hangars and the people that have them only for aviation use or,
Correct.
and so they can't bring other things in.
They can bring other things in. The way that's driven is that the way the lease states is that the purpose of the hangar is for aircraft storage and other incidental, like maintenance and other incidental activities, unless they have written permission from the airport manager.
Okay.
We don't mind if people have other things in there, if they store a car in there so for instance, we have some seasonal tenants, right? They spend the winter months down in the southern states and then they come back up here and they park their plane and pull their vehicles out and spend the summer in Oregon.
Okay.
But the primary purpose of the hangar is for an aviation purpose. That's what the FAA grant assurances say. So oftentimes what will happen is that hangars will morph into large garages for people if they've sold their plane or dad passed away and we need to store all this stuff. And so it's always a constant compliance effort. A lot of hangars in the last, I would say 2 or 3 years, we probably have changed hands. I would say maybe 24 hangars have changed hands. So we've gotten in front of that. We have a small handful left yet to solve. Now that we have commercial air service and we have a security program, a more robust security program with a security manager, starting this summer, we're going to start scheduling and conducting annual safety, security, and compliance inspections. So it'll be all encompassing. It'll be for that purpose, for safety purposes, obviously, and then security purposes to make sure we know what people are doing or not doing in their hangars. The other thing that it'll allow us to do is that we'll be able to annually collect everybody's updated contact information and new tail numbers. Because that tends to fall by the wayside. People buy a new plane or they, their email changes and they're not kept up to date because we don't have a current updated email address for them. So that'll be helpful. And also to collect, make sure that our based aircraft database is up to date. So the FAA requires us to log every aircraft that's based at your airport so they know where they're all based at. And that's a moving target for us because people forget to let us know that they sold the plane and bought another plane. For instance, we have a Learjet 60 at the south end of the airport that I saw taxi by the other day. I'd never seen before. And one of our local tenants sold their business jet and bought another business jet and it's a different tail number. And so So we went ahead and made that change, but people just forget to let us know. I don't know that people even know they have to do that. So that'll just allow us once a year to capture all of the information we need for every hangar. And compliance will be part of that. We have enough people that we need to pair up hangars with aircraft owners. There's a lot of demand right now and not enough hangars. We're trying to build as many as we can, as fast as we can, but we want to get the compliance.
Good,
100%.
I'm glad to hear that, because I question some comments that I've heard, like people are storing their RVs there, but there's no plane.
Yeah, and we get those too, and a lot of times that's actually how I find out about things, is that the neighbors tell on their neighbors. But usually it's because something's in the way, and so I'll find out about it for that reason. And typically, I would say, in my experience here, about 95% of the time, there's actually a legitimate reason behind it. And once we have the discussion with the tenant, they solve the issue. For instance, we had one gentleman for about a year. He had a flood in his home, and it had all the stuff that didn't get ruined. He moved it out, moved it into his hangar, put his airplane outside for a few months until they could finish their interior improvements, and then he put his airplane back in. But by the time I found out about it, it was done. But I had gotten information that he was no longer had a plane, and his house belongings were being stored in his hangar. So we had that discussion. He explained the purpose behind it. I reminded him that's not what your hangar's for, but generally it's not nefarious type stuff. I mean, there's usually a good story behind it, but at the end of the day, we're still looking to put aircraft owners in hangars.
I would think that when you start working on compliance issues, that you can explain that if something comes up,
Correct.
instead of.
Exactly. So that's our goal, is every year to connect with every base tenant once a year, so that we can have all those conversations, collect all that information, make sure we're all on the same page, make sure everybody knows who everybody is. We have new staff here. We have a lot of new tenants here that I still haven't met. So it'll be an opportunity for us to meet and greet people, shake hands, and let them know where we are, if they need help, and how to contact us if they have security issues or safety issues or anything like that. So so we're going to start that here in earnest, probably just after the first of the fiscal year, which will be in July. So we're kind of working up towards that now, what our inspection form will look like, and start scheduling those with all the tenants. And we have a pretty good idea of the, say, half a dozen or so that are probably the ones that we think are the worst offenders. We'll start there, and we'll work our way down to those that we know are compliant, because their doors are open all the time, and those will be easy ones to do. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Arno.
John, I read in the report that Bell Airlines announced 3 new future flights.
That is correct.
Are you aware of the times of the day those will take place?
We have a schedule. I don't have it in front of me. Do you have it on you by any chance?
Turn to Aaron. We do have their schedule, but I don't have it memorized.
What?
I know. As I get older, the brain fog's getting thicker and thicker. I do know now that the Burbank flight was 7:15 arrival, 7:50 departure. So I don't know that up for you. So while Aaron's looking that up, for those that don't know, or just for the purposes of the recording, they did announce twice weekly service to Santa Rosa, California, Sonoma County, and then adding, and that's in May, and then adding a Burbank flight on Tuesday starting in June. So we'll be up to 7 flights a week to 3 destinations this summer.
To answer my question, during the holidays, they added extra flights.
They did.
To
Tuesday flights to Burbank.
Yes. Is that gonna happen more? I know spring break is coming up.
Yeah, other than what we just announced, or what I just announced that they announced to me, I don't know of any additional plans that they may have for seasonal flights or maybe flights in the fall. My presumption is that around the holidays, they'll add flights again, because those Tuesday flights were very popular. They were just about all full. But I don't know of any other plans that they may have.
How far in advance do they need to announce that?
They generally announce about 60 days in advance, and enough time where they can sell tickets and get the information out there. So I think at this point, we would know if there was anything between now and June, probably. So I haven't heard anything beyond there. I think their schedule goes through September now.
It goes through September. Yeah, so Sonoma is going to be arriving at 8:05, and then it departs at
PM or?
Yep, PM.
Yeah.
And then departs again at 8:45. And then
What days?
that is on
Fridays and Mondays.
Fridays and Mondays. Yeah. And then Burbank gets an additional flight on Tuesday. That is, let's see. Same time, 7:10 and 7:45.
PM departure.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Yep, Las Vegas is the only morning departure. That is 11:25. Arrival 12:05 departure.
Okay, that's later than.
Yeah, Burbank does get a mid-afternoon, 3:25 and 4.
Okay, so they're constantly shifting times, it's never static really.
Yeah.
Over the holidays, they moved to nighttime so they could accommodate college football flying and some of those things, so. They give us a schedule usually about 90 days out, so, but now we actually have through September.
Right, thank you.
Great. Unless there's anything else, Mr. Chairman, we're on to items.
Quick question about the hangars.
Yeah.
What's, are you 100% full? Or is there, I mean, is there a waiting list or?
I would say close to 100%, not exactly 100%. There are a small handful that are available either for lease or for sale. But I don't have an exact number. We actually don't track that as closely as we'd like, because generally it runs through the FBO. That's kind of the center, social site of the airport. So they keep closer tabs on, how many hangars are for sale or for lease.
I did see some private for sale signs on the south end not too long ago, so I'm not sure if Ron knows, or if Ron's working with them, or how that works.
So really find out.
All right, thank you, John. I don't think we have any action items.
So action items tonight.
And items for commission discussion, I am not aware of any, but
We have one on the agenda.
the letter, oh, thank you very much for the letter. That was, I think that carried, has everybody had a chance to review that? Did you get a copy? And I think that kind of conveys,
I just tailored your message, so.
I'm-
Your message, I'm
happy. Well, everybody else okay with it? I mean, I think that kind of conveys the thoughts that
And
we have.
everybody got a copy and I got a little bit of feedback, so made those changes.
Okay, well,
Send
we'll
it to the chair for a signature.
we'll send it to Mr. Foley for a signature, and then you deliver it, I think, don't you? Or you distribute it to
I'll
the,
distribute it.
okay. Very good.
You want to have no other discussion on that before we saw other items for commission discussion? That item? or
Any-
anything else?
We're wide open. We have lots of time. Carry on. What do you got?
I've been approached by 3 people about noise complaints. Last week was a beautiful time. More people were outside with the warm weather. Maybe the windows were open. And specifically people talking about the flight on Sunday evening. It's is an Avelo flight, I learned from John. It's lands and departs between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. And imagine that was the time when people are enjoying the outside in the yard, twilight time. I don't know if this is reflected in the official complaints that you received, John.
I would have to go back and look. We have that attached to the packet, but I believe that only went through maybe the 15th of March. Whenever we have the last.
Up to that point.
Yeah, no complaints recorded as of March 15th, so we don't have any formal complaints.
It was mentioned before that during the winter months, there was probably no problems because any house with modern insulation is not really affected by the floods. But if people are outside and you have the big jets flying over, this might happen. It's something to keep an eye on probably going forward.
Yeah, I would recommend at your neighborhood group meetings to remind folks that they can contact us, and we do have a formal noise complaint form process. And actually, you met Trevor Smith, our public information officer in this meeting. We're going to try and get an actual noise complaint, or really any feedback form on the website. We're going to have a drop-down menu for what their topic is, and that way we can just start receiving complaints and have documented, as opposed to phone calls with phone numbers and addresses and
So
things.
the
But
form that they're to fill out,
At this
Be
point,
online.
it will be, yes, it's not
So it's not-
currently contact the airport, we'll collect the information and then we log it in our noise complaint log. It's just a form that we fill out on how many complaints we get, what addresses or neighborhoods they're in, if it's the same address, so if it's a constant complaint or somebody just hates airplanes versus there's an actual noise issue in a certain neighborhood, that helps us track that.
So currently they need to call the.
Currently, they need to call the airport.
During a certain hour.
During our business hours of operation, yeah, Monday through Friday. If there's anything, obviously it's an emergency, we have after hours emergency numbers, but noise complaints can be filed anytime. Ideally, we get the date, the time, type of aircraft, if they know it. If it's somebody that's circling over your house doing something that you think is inappropriate, try and get a tail number. If it's during a time of day that the air traffic control tower is open,
Mhm.
that's 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
Oftentimes, we can contact the tower and find out who that was and what they were doing, if there's a purpose behind that. Sometimes it's law enforcement looking for people, or it's, helicopters doing power line inspections and things like that are low flying aircraft. But, so sometimes we can get the information people are looking for, and then it's more of just information as opposed to a complaint. Sometimes people just want to file a complaint that it's loud, it's the wrong time of night. If it's a military operation, sometimes we'll send them over to the National Guard Operations Center for information. If it's civilian aircraft, we'll take them here and we track those so that we can see if there's an increase in complaints, and if so, is it over a certain neighborhood or a certain time of day or a certain time of year?
Yeah, so you can figure out.
We can talk to the tower about those things.
Do you know if there'll be the possibility, Trevor might be the one that would know this, if that they could take a picture of the device and then send that, add it to the complaint? Because I wouldn't necessarily know who that helicopter was from, or, what type of plane it was. I know that there are apps that can help me with it, but I'm not sure I'd go that far.
I'll have to find out if when he gets that set up, if there's like an opportunity to attach a file or
Because
something. I think it would.
that way they could, at least you would be able to say, oh yeah, we know exactly what that flight is, so.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Is FedEx on a schedule still here
Yeah.
daily?
Yep.
And we were not getting complaints about them.
About 4 in the afternoon.
What is the schedule for FedEx?
I don't
They
know.
fly in at about 4 o'clock and they leave about 4:30.
Well, that's work hours.
Yeah.
Expect less complaints there than during the evenings when people try to relax after their work or the weekends.
Wait a minute, people can relax after 7 o'clock?
Not elected officials. Unless you're in city council, no regular meeting.
Be everywhere.
At my house.
Yeah, so the short story is noise complaints, contact the airport at some point. We'll direct people to the
Yes.
website, try and make that a one-stop shop for all the information people need.
If it's similar,
I was just gonna say, what is FedEx, what is it,
It is my care.
Yes.
They used to have, they're not flying jets anymore?
FedEx has never flown jets since I've been, not Salem, fly caravans, two-way caravans.
I knew about those, but I thought, well, never mind. Oh, I know what it was. Their pilots were coming down here to do the back course,
Yes,
part of the training.
yes.
That's where we got the FedEx jets. Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of back course training down here. actually.
if the new system is similar to the one the city has for code compliance, I think it will be a big success. That
Okay.
worked feel very well. People have picked up on that
Okay,
fast and make good use of it. We'll be happy to promote it once it's in place.
okay. I'll write that down as an example then, so I can reference that. Okay.
People can feel like they can participate.
Yes.
Yeah, and we
easy
welcome
points.
that, yeah, it's important for us to have. That way, if we ever need to approach the FAA about anything, at least curfews or, whatever. We have data and documentation as opposed to just anecdotal feedback.
Sure.
Okay, if there is no more, there are no more items for discussion, I move to adjourn.
So, your gavel and we'll adjourn at 6:30. All right.